Let me say one thing further, that when we talk of the agri economy of Uttar Pradesh, we can't have one solution for Uttar Pradesh. You see, Uttar Pradesh, as I said, is such a large state by itself. There are 8 agroclimatic zones in Uttar Pradesh. And each agroclimatic zone is unique by itself. There are different crops, there are different cropping practices, there are different kind of farmers who are there, there are different geographical, impediments in each area and different traditions, and therefore in each agroclimatic zone will require almost a different strategic intervention when you talk about the agri economy of Uttar Pradesh. For instance, it was rightly mentioned by my previous speaker, the area of Bundelkhand. Now, Bundelkhand takes only one crop in a year, and it's the rain-fed area. That's the only area in Uttar Pradesh which is rain-fed. Rest of the area, there's a lot of irrigation is available. Yet, Bundelkhand has the potential to be converted into the Israel of, it just by using the right technology about drip irrigation. You can have a horticulture revolution in Bundelkhand, and it can be really tremendous value addition can be there, and income addition of the farmer of Bundelkhand is possible by just this one intervention. Okay. The next I would like to point out that the major constraint in Uttar Pradesh is the fragmentation of the land holdings. The average size of the land holding in Uttar Pradesh is 0.8 hectare, which means more than 90% of our farmers belong to the category of small and marginal farmers. Therefore, most of the land holdings by themselves are unviable, and you cannot think of the farmer there going in for mechanization in a big way or taking in technology in a big way unless there are some interventions at that level. The various ideas of land pooling or land leasing, that kind of land reforms that can be brought about, and more, which I think to my mind is more relevant immediately, is setting up a farmer producer companies in a big way. We should have a complete network of farmer producer companies all over Uttar Pradesh, because only when we have these farmer producer companies to aggregate the farmers, then the farmer will be able to invest in technology, when the farmer will be able to have higher productivity, and then more of important, he will be able to negotiate with the corporate sector in collective bargaining, because otherwise he is not able to stand up to the corporate sector. Wonderful reforms have been introduced by the government of India, major structural reforms which are unshackling the agriculture sector. I call this the 1991 movement as far as agriculture is concerned in Indian economy. First time we've opened up this sector. Now the farmer can sell his produce anywhere in the country. He doesn't have to go to one mandi or one market yard to sell his produce. This is a revolution in the making. But then he should have the bargaining capacity to do so. And for that, we have to aggregate the farmer. We have to do so by building as many farmer producer companies as possible. So that's the first point I will like to flag. Second, of course, enhancement of productivity is vital. And in Uttar Pradesh, various areas the productivity is still very low, and these are areas of Indo-US cooperation, where technology can come in to enhance the productivity of the agriculture sector. For instance, better seeds. I was just reading about Bihar, how the maize crop, hybrid maize seeds being introduced in Bihar has revolutionized the maize crop in Bihar and led to a silent revolution in many parts of Bihar. Similarly, hybrid seeds, if they come into our fruits and vegetables, into our various other crops, they can make a big difference as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned. Second technology where Indo-US cooperation is possible, the Honorable Prime Minister just dedicated 17 varieties of 8 crops for biofortified staples. Biofortification is a big issue as far as agriculture and malnutrition, the linkage is there. There is so much of malnutrition in India which can be handled by having better staples, who are fortified with zinc, with iodine, with vitamins, with minerals and proteins. And this is an area of research which is very, very, very current and very important and very relevant. When area of Indo-US cooperation, a lot of technology transfer can take place in this particular area of biofortification of staples. Then I would like to move on to area of farm mechanization, where again, once we aggregate the farmers, there is tremendous scope for mechanization at the farm level. Now, only recently we were talking of stubble burning, a problem which can easily be solved if there is right technology that is to be used in that, and some usage has started also. Now, if this technology is made available at a lower cost or at something affordable cost to the farmer, he will surely take it up and handle the issues of stubble burning. So this is what I am saying. This kind of technology transfer is what is required to reduce the cost of cultivation for the farmer and be able to access the market in a better possible way. However, what I want to say is that the farmer has to now, the reforms have to come from the agriculture marketing side. That is the crucial, and that is why these agriculture sector reforms are so very important, because they are concentrating, focusing on the market. Now, contract farming is being allowed. That means this value addition which my previous speakers have talked about, this is now going to become possible. UP has the potential of becoming a hub for rural industrialization or agro industries. As one of my earlier speakers talked about micro processing industries and units coming up at village level. Yes, tremendous scope for industrialization of the rural hinterland of Uttar Pradesh is possible, which will generate jobs in the rural areas for people in industry and have a very close linkage between the farmer and the industry. There is tremendous potential of that with these reforms in particular, and if their rightful use of this mechanism is taken up. Of course, rules have to be framed for these reforms, and rules have to be framed rightly so that the farmer doesn't suffer any kind of exploitation. But this is a wonderful moment in which, if the right kind of rules are framed, it will certainly take the Indian or the UP agroeconomy forward in a big way. Then there is tremendous scope for cooperation in the warehousing and logistics sector, and the cold chain sector. One of the earlier speakers spoke about this. Value addition is possible only if you have a cold chain complete, not only cold storages, but refrigerated vans, processing units, chilling plants, right from the beginning to the end. And that is not only for agriculture crops, for horticulture crops, for dairy, for fisheries. Even for areas like fisheries, we can convert people into agri-business entrepreneurs. So our next stop has to be that we convert the farmers of Uttar Pradesh into agri-business entrepreneurs. And there, this warehousing, this cold chain development, and all this, these are areas where a lot of technology can come in. And tremendous scope is there for companies and private sector and US and Indian cooperation is possible in these areas. So this is, I think, is another area I would like to flag where tremendous amount of improvement can come about. So all said and done, I think I am trying to cover a huge gamut of points in a very short period, but looking at the time, I am trying to make the best use of it. But this is the kind of interventions which are required in the agricultural economy of Uttar Pradesh to bring about this change. Of course, there are various other issues of credit being made available, of various inputs being made available at the right time. But yes, I must flag another issue raised by the earlier speakers, that of agriculture exports. And now with the Eastern Freight Corridor, the Delhi-Mumbai Corridor, and also the network of expressways, UP being a landlocked state had this disadvantage, but now we can send our produce across to the ports and we can really participate in agri exports where there is a vision already there. The government of India is there for how much they want to enhance the agriculture exports by. Then of course we have to focus on enhancing the income of the farmer. Honorable Prime Minister has already talked about doubling the income by 2022. If whole combination of these measures are taken and put together, along with better technology, along with better education of the farmer, then this kind of revolution is possible where we can give him not only double but even a higher income. And as the earlier speaker spoke, agriculture is vital